welcome to the Dropship Podcast. And today we have a special episode. One of our students has come on. His name is Rob, and he hit 50,000 in sales in month number 6 in his business. And I had to have him on here. I wanted to show you what's possible with this business model if you put in the work. I do think his military background helps him be a little more disciplined than certainly I was in the beginning. But I'm excited to have you on here, Rob. Thanks for sharing your story.
Oh, happy to be here. Thank you.
I got to know, where did you start? Like, how did you start anything in the beginning? I know you have a military background. Maybe you can touch on that. But what got you to start any entrepreneurship venture in the beginning? Did you have side hustles? What got you to start in the beginning?
You know, I was in college in 2004, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I took an entrepreneurial course, and I was just so excited by the idea of it. I loved the course. Like, we did this financials, all the background. And I remember talking to the teacher, and he asked me, he's like, well, what do you want to do? I said, I have no idea what I'm going to sell. Like, there was no like one thing that I want to sell. And I still don't know if there's one thing that I want to sell. But I think that was the seed. A couple years later, I thought me being a real estate agent would be a thing. That didn't work out. Found out that I wasn't the best like seller. Just spinning wheels a little bit. Not fun, but that's where I was. Since then, I think I've tried every one of the things you would see on YouTube that's like, hey, why don't you try Amazon FBA? Well, what about wholesale on Amazon FBA? Hey, what about stock market stuff? Starting an agency. I think I've been down all those trails to, a lot of failure. It's really great to just like rack up the failures one by one. Honestly, I say that tongue in cheek, but a lot of learning lessons. Definitely learned a lot through, a lot of stumbles, a lot of falls, kind of like a kid trying to walk. I love listening to podcasts. I think, you mentioned that a lot in the stuff you talk about. And so, learned years ago the idea of, you can't retrieve an idea if you've never had it, or you've never been talked about it, you've never heard it. So I believe in just listening to more stuff, hearing more things, or reading more books. So, I was listening to the podcast that you and John were going through, and it sounded pretty cool. I can get my ear around it, and happy to be here. Jump right in, and excited.
I think it's interesting that often you will hear people say, at 19 or at 18 or at 17 in high school, they wanted us to pick what we're going to do the rest of our life. How could we ever possibly pick that? And then when it comes to like choosing a business model that they're going to run with, this better be the one that works or else, right? And you're a prime example of that's just not true. You don't know what you're going to like or what's going to work well for you or how it's going to fit, congruently into your life. And so it's interesting that you kind of dabbled all over the place. I'd love to hear a little bit of that. What did you actually like dive into? What did you throw at the wall that didn't stick prior to finding this?
I mentioned the real estate. That was literally me calling people, kind of cold calling, like, hey, is John there? Hey, John, it's Rob. Just want to see you. You're looking to buy, sell. Who do you know that's trying to buy or sell real estate in the next 30 days? Having people hang up on just hating on you. FBA thing. I'm an outdoors guy. I love the outdoors. My niche. Still one of those things. But I designed and made a blanket. Obviously it's white labeled. It's something that got from China, but a blanket that was about this big, and it fits in the palm of your hand, or you could fold it up and get it into your pocket. So it was a pocket blanket. They sold for like I like the number 1775. It's when the Marine Corps was founded. So I sold it for that for a while. Didn't make a lot of money. Spent a lot of time and energy in it, but I probably my biggest takeaway from any of the things that I went down is I think most any of these systems work. I think that you can make money in all these different things. Obviously, someone is making money in all these things. They found a way to make it profitable. I think for me, there was you just have to stick to it and push through and suck up the shiny object and just be willing to fail. And that's where I'm at.
Where's the blanket today?
I still probably have 5 of them. I keep on seeing my friends bring them out when we go some places. I think I sold about 500 of them at the end of the day.
It's pretty good. Yeah. You didn't want to continue, just throwing. Like Amazon is beautiful in that you might not make very many sales, but you will make sales, and it'll sell, and eventually it'll start growing. It might not compound very fast, but in the beginning of my pet supplement company, that's it. I just I threw them on Amazon, did the things correctly. Amazon does what Amazon does and grows your business for you, assuming you can just again get the basics right. I think every model works too. So I was curious where you were at with that, and maybe I can convince you after this call to throw the blanket back up there. Get everyone on this call to go buy Rob's blanket. Let's boost his Amazon ranking.
Dude, my mindset at this point, I don't know if we discussed this or not, but I believe in this as a building block. I look at it as, I want this win. I want to build that asset. I don't know if that means that I'll roll into a second store or take money out and put it into real estate assets, put it into other things. But I just look as I'm building that building block that's creating a holistic, a comforting amount of wealth for me and my family.
Yeah, I think it's going to serve you well anyway. What has worked well in almost every business I've been part of is dropshipping, which is great. Retailing, right? There's tons of retailers out there. But what does every retailer have in common? They start having their own line. Target, Walmart, REI, everyone starts their own line. And so that little bit of experience, while it might be a failure to a lot of people listening to this, or even to yourself, it's going to serve you well down the line. And so I think if people can start elongating how long they're thinking about this game lasting, because it's a game that there is no finish line. It's the process that matters, that you're going to be able to utilize that in this process to continue having better outcomes.
Yeah, no regrets. Honestly, I still use the blankets. I think they're kind of cool.
I want one. You're going to have to bring one to me. Rob's coming to the live event. You want to meet Rob in person, head to dropshipbreakthru.com/live. We'd love to see you there. And he's bringing blankets, I heard. I don't know. Can we get some blankets in the goodie bags? That'd be kind of cool, actually. All right. So how did you find high-ticket dropshipping specifically? You were looking through e-commerce and you stumbled on John and myself, or how did you land on that?
If I had to guess, I would say a podcast, but I couldn't tell you the exact, I can't tell you the keyword that I was searching or looking for at the time.
Sure. I'm just always curious how people stumble into this model. I think a lot of people start with the lower ticket and realize, hey, maybe these numbers don't work out. And then they fall into the high ticket. And I think there's a lot of people listening to this podcast who might have been in your situation 7, 8, 9 months ago as you're stumbling on this and researching and wondering whether this is a business model that's worthwhile.
When you say that, I can definitely think back, and I don't want to name anyone, but I definitely was going down, and most of the dropshipping I was hearing was the low ticket, and I think I bought a $300 course that was could teach you to find the right thing on AliExpress, and I didn't go down that path long. I think when I heard John's, it kind of made more sense to me. And actually, I used that. John was, John had been talking about some kind of discount if you had previously had a dropshipping course. I don't know if he even still offers that discount. So I actually used that to roll into this. Now that I think about it.
Nice, yeah. Rob makes a good point. I think there's a lot of people listening to this who are in a different course, and they're like, "Man, I'm hearing stuff on the podcast that's not even in this course I paid for." If that's you, yeah, we do have a discount for you. So just reach out, book a call, dropshipbreakthru.com/call. Get on a call with John or myself, and we'll get you inside at a heavily discounted price. It sounds like that's how Rob got into, which is great. So where did you struggle in the beginning? I think too many people I get on sales calls with are like worried about niche selection, worried about calling. So they're worried about things that they haven't even done yet. And that's the reason they haven't bought the course and got started. So where was it for you when in the beginning, what were you worried about? And then what did you actually struggle with in your business?
Did my niche selection. I went through and got it approved. And I think the first time you and I talked was I was frustrated at the time you guys offered a build a website, and that was backlogged, not something that you offer anymore because I don't think you guys can support it. So that was my first frustration, because I was in the like, I want to go. And that created like a month or 45-day wait or something. So that was a very frustrating point for me. My next piece of spinning my wheels was shiny object syndrome. From where I got the store started, I went back and had second thoughts and like, well, maybe I should do this thing. I care more about that. Trying to pick the right thing. And hell, I think it still hits me today. I see something else, or I drive the car and I'm like, whoa, that's a high ticket thing that I could sell, not on my current site, but maybe another one. So I switched my niche 2 times at the beginning before I actually ever launched. So it's kind of funny that I even bothered to have you guys build this site. I thought that was like going to be like a big thing in the beginning that was unsurmountable. So I did it, but obviously rebranding, you probably build the majority of it anyway. And then the next hurdle was getting locked up with Google suspension, and they suspended me for a month, which was a nice kick in between the legs that was not fun.
Yeah. That's interesting that you had many reasons to stop. One, our fault. We literally couldn't fulfill it. Building websites for people is a nightmare. The only comparison we saw was someone else doing it, and they were building literally the same store for everyone. And we were like, oh, we don't want to do that. We want to like make them unique. And then we ran into some turnover, and it was just like, all right, we have to stop offering this, right? And so, unfortunately, you were the person who was the last one through that pipeline, and it didn't go well. I do remember that. Thanks for reminding me of that, by the way. No, I love it. But that's a reason people would have stopped. They would have said, John and Ben are a scam. They can't even make this website. It's over. This is a dumb business model, right? That's one reason to quit. Google suspending you is something that happens to everyone. Like, there's a reason, right? There was... allegedly, I'm not the judge and jury here, but there was interference in our elections. There was other countries running ads and steering the narrative in our country in many different ways. And so everyone gets shut down. Like literally everyone gets shut down now. And you have to prove that you're a real business. And sometimes that can take time. And I have seen some people throw in the towel and say, this isn't worth the fight anymore. This must not work. Something's wrong with me, or I'm not doing so. And realistically, a lot of it is usually like, something small. They just didn't have like their address on the contact page, or something very, very small usually that gets you over the hump. But I'm with you, Rob. I have one business that is still the account isn't suspended, but I have like a couple ad sets or ad groups that can't run ads still, which don't make any sense to me. And so, it is a game of cat and mouse there. And so, kudos to you for getting through the website build, getting through niche selection. I'd love to hear what your first 2 that you like pivoted away from. That'd be kind of neat. And then, actually getting through the Google suspension to getting to this place where 6 months in, you're hitting 50,000 in sales, which is amazing. Like that's a really big milestone. And I know you and I got on a call, and you were kind of like, okay, I got here, maybe I'll get to 100. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, of course you're going to get to 100. You might get to 1 million a month. I've literally seen it in this industry. And so I think everyone can get there. But like, what did it feel like, first off, to hit that 50K? I know it was a big goal of yours. You were very public about it inside of your little mastermind that you created of members of our course, as well as in Slack and in our elite membership. What did it feel like to hit that goal, and where are we going from here?
50K is still hard for me to wrap my brain around. What boggled my mind is, John does a good job of talking about goal setting, and I believe he talks, it's basically wrapped around the EOS framework, which I do believe in as well. But that was it was my goal for that month. If I rewinded my brain, 5 months before that, or 4 or 5 months, whatever the number was. And when that happened, it was just like, whoa, like I hadn't focused that clearly on that. And, just seeing perpetual growth. I think the month before I had a little less sales, so I wasn't expecting to jump up. So, just going through the peaks and valleys that we're all going to hit. So I wasn't expecting it. And my goodness, it definitely felt good.
Please tell me you sat down and reset goals after this, that you didn't. I'm personally guilty of this, that I've reached goals and then I kind of got complacent and I didn't reset them, right? And we recommend the book Vivid Vision quite a bit, of setting your 3-year vision. But oftentimes you can hit that long before you think you're going to hit it, and then you're like, you kind of relax, or I've made it, or you get complacent, right? It's at the same point, you don't want to reset new goals and then be like head back down. You kind of want to also be present in the moment that you just hit 50K in sales in your first 6 months, in 6 months. But where are we going from here?
So I didn't reset because I hit my mark. I didn't overshoot my mark. I might have overshot it by a couple $100. So I looked at it as I'm on my track, even though I had a dip the month before, and I already had my 6 months, pegged out. So I think according to that, I should be hitting 70 this month. That's not what my back end of Shopify says. It's still trending upward, but it's not, it should point to that number yet.
I think you should aim higher personally. Just knowing the industry that you're in, I think you should shoot for something higher, but also be like unbelievably grateful for where you are. I think there's a lot of people listening to this right now who are like, man, if 6 months from now I did 50K in revenue in my business, you can do the math on what that probably looks like in your back end, in your pocket at the end of the day. But I think that's a lot of people's big goal, right? And you've gotten there, and now you need to set one that was just as scary as when you set that 50.
I have no pushback with what you just said at all. And maybe this is all the mental BS, but I'm at the point in my brain where I'm like, all right, one of my top 3 suppliers, like I'm having issues with them. I want to add some other suppliers, and I want to do some SEO stuff. So like I feel like I'm looking through and saying like, how can I optimize what I currently have, and work all of those streams. I feel like right now the majority of my business is still set up to work from the ads on Google and Bing, and I would prefer for that not to be the case long term. So like I want to get more of the system set up on how do I get better at SEO. So I want this to work long term. To be completely honest with you, if this goes for the next 3 months and I stay 100% at 50, but that means that I'm on the trajectory to double that 6 months from now, and 4x it a year from now, like I'm cool with that.
I'm positive you're going to. I know your industry, I know your work ethic, and I know you're going to. Look, I have a couple more questions before we hop off here, Rob. Like, how has this journey? So you tried Amazon FBA. Sounds like you tried some agency stuff. God forbid you ever go back to cold calling people to see if they want to sell their house or if they know somebody. Even when I get that postcard in the mail, I'm like, who sends these? Like, was this worth the 3 cents? All right. So, what have you learned in this journey? In the time doing it this way, maybe was it taught different? Did you learn something about on the mental side of things? What have you learned in this journey compared to other journeys?
This journey, absolutely. The way you guys teach Google Ads is phenomenal. Love that. It's super powerful, and I can't imagine going back to it. Looking through the way I was taught Google Ads through 2 different courses. Granted, it wasn't Google Shopping Ads, but completely different thought pattern from where you guys come from. That was super helpful. I love how much time you guys spend on vision and mindset as well. That's pretty amazing. And in the build phase, John does a great job of going step by step, every little intricate piece of, check this box and do this thing and you'll get it done. And, I know that's a difficulty for you guys to keep that 100% up to date because that box changes. But it's followable. Like you just, you make your checklist and you go through it and, and actually I have to say, I truly have to say, you and John, like, it feels like you give a shit. And I've had a lot of questions so far. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of questions after this. And, your help for both of you along the way has been tremendous. And thank you.
Yeah, I think that probably is what sets us apart. Like, we actually do care. We're not here to sell a course where I think you could hop on a call with some other air quote gurus and their only goal in that call is to sell a course, where we genuinely want to help you change your life. And that comes in a different way. All right. So I got one last question for you, Rob. What would you say to someone who's listening to this? This might have been you 6 months ago, 9 months ago, whatever it was, listening to a show just like this. Maybe when we interviewed Kellen or John or any of the people that we've already interviewed on this show. You're in that seat now, and you're speaking to 9 months ago Rob. What would you say to them?
I wish someone could just look me in the eye at that time. Rob could look Rob in the eye and say, like, dude, like, don't hold back. Go for it. Go all in. Don't doubt yourself. Just make it happen, and it'll work for you.
I think there's a lot of people who need to hear that exact advice and just need to believe in themselves. And whether it's this business model or any other business model, or really anything you want to accomplish in your life, as long as you take the growth mindset that as long as you put the time in, you can get better at it. And if you truly believe that, nothing will stop you in any area of your life. And so, Rob, I appreciate having you on. I'm going to take a second to make your red face show up here. Just anyone who's listening to this, who's in our course, or when you decide to join our course, you're going to see that Rob is literally one of the most helpful members we've ever had. You might be our star student, Rob. If I had some sort of trophy to hand you over the air here, I would give it to you. I appreciate you. Rob has started his own private mastermind, which has had its own attrition. Newsflash, some people give up on this and quit on themselves. And so Rob's had to recruit new people, and yet he holds court. He holds the call. And you're truly one of my favorite students. We're probably not supposed to have them, like we're not supposed to have favorite kids, but we do anyway. And so like, you're one of my favorite students. I appreciate all that you do for our community, and I appreciate you coming on this podcast. And I think hopefully you're able to attend in July, assuming the military doesn't get in the way. And anyone who's on this call, like, who's thinking about coming to Minneapolis in July, come and meet Rob. Rob is incredible. And if you're thinking about joining the course and wondering what is it like for the students in there, like, are there other people helpful besides John and Ben? Will I get contact? Number one, you're going to get contact from John and Ben, and you're going to get help from people just like Rob. But shout out to you, man. You're incredible.
First of all, thank you for all that. I do want to mention one thing, because it relates to me doing the mastermind piece, but also relates to, you know, your live event. I heard long ago, I forget who the quote's from, but, you know, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you know, go together. And so, like, I truly believe in a mastermind, because, you know, every time we have that call, you know, there's someone going through something that I haven't been through, or that I can learn from, or there's someone that I can help, and they're getting something that you know is just out of, you know, what they were thinking currently. I look at the live event as the exact same way. There's people that I haven't interacted with that, you know, we both will probably have value out of that conversation, and I hope, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I honestly can't wait. Hopefully the military stays out of the way. You can show up here, and I'm really looking forward to meeting in person. Giving you a big hug, man. I appreciate all you've done for this community, and thanks for coming on the show.
Happy to be here. Thank you for the time.